What's a crazy rumor about your teacher that ended up being true? The older kids at school told us that our uptight math teacher, Mr. Davis, used to do adult videos. None of us really believed it. After all, he was the most conservative teacher at school. In the hallways, he'd tell the girls to put on sweaters if their shoulders showed. He'd turn red whenever Romeo and Juliet came up in English class. He'd even threaten to call parents about inappropriate behavior if kids hugged too long in the hallway. The rumor started because someone's older brother swore he saw him in an old video, but there were a lot of other unexplainable things. Mr. Davis had this gap in his resume from 1995 to 1999 that he refused to talk about. He gave a lot of insight on the entertainment industry, even told us stories about meeting famous celebrities. Sometimes random adults would recognize him at school events, but he'd quickly usher them away before they could say anything. Either way, we figured it was typical high school BS, like maybe some guy who looked vaguely like him. I mean, this was the same school where everyone believed the gym teacher was secretly married to the librarian. Teenagers jumped at anything scandalous. I started to really question it during senior year when I decided to pursue acting on the side. I got discovered by this talent scout at the mall who promised he had Hollywood connections and begged my parents to let me try. But then he started getting creepy, pushing for private auditions at his apartment, threatening that he had my information already and I needed to go. I was scared. Then suddenly, he stopped all contact, completely blocked me. That same day, I found an anonymous note in my locker that read, "Real agencies don't meet in hotel rooms." A week later, I got an email from an industry insider with a list of legitimate agencies. When I went to get headshots, the photographer got a mysterious phone call and immediately refunded my money, saying he couldn't do the shoot. After that, my parents received this detailed package about recognizing scam agencies. No return address, just pages of information about what to watch out for. Eventually, I booked a legitimate commercial through a safe agency the email had recommended. At the callback, the casting director mentioned, "Your teacher, Mr. Davis, called to verify we're legitimate. You're lucky to have someone looking out for you." I was stunned and immediately confronted Mr. Davis after our class together. He just smiled and said he wanted to help since he knew I was serious about acting. When I pressed him about how he knew so much, he changed the subject to my calculus grades. Later, I found out another girl in drama club had similar experiences. Sketchy auditions she was warned away from. Contracts that arrived with predatory clauses already highlighted. Someone was protecting us, and all signs pointed to our math teacher. It wasn't until years later when I flew back for Mr. Davis's retirement party when I found out the truth to all the mysterious things happening before. After the ceremony, I asked if we could talk privately. I didn't even have to ask before he pulled out some old headshots he took from the 90s. Honestly, I wouldn't have recognized him. It was like he was a completely different person, someone cool and young and insanely handsome. His face was like a mix between a young Tom Cruise and Johnny Depp. He laughed at my expression and explained how he'd escaped the industry after his friend had been taken at a party and found overdosed. His face dimmed, shaking his head as if remembering the moment. So I quit, got a teaching degree, started over. It was my friend's dream, so I figured I'd live it for the both of us. But there were nights he couldn't just forget what he'd seen, so he built a network of other survivors who now lived normal lives. They monitored casting calls and agencies, watching for predators. He'd helped protect dozens of students over 20 years. "I still get residual checks," he said quietly. "Every penny goes to a fund for survivors." He looked at the photos of all his former students on the wall. "I couldn't save myself at your age, but I could save you." I asked to join the network and spend time on the side helping kids from the bad guys of the industry, trying to continue the cycle just as my teacher did for me.